All right. So, good evening, everyone. We are live, and GP and I welcome you to this session. The session is 6 months to CAT. So, basically, we are going to discuss what should we do now. It is time to wake up, and how we are going to go about it. Gautam Bawa has also joined. Hi, Gautam.
Hey, hello. Sorry, there's a slight net issue at my end. I'm actually traveling a
Yeah,
little. I'm
I
on
was
my
about to say Gautam का भूत दिख रहा है मुझे.
there's a slight net issue. So
So it is
apologies for that.
Ghosh
I'll
Baba.
try fixing it. I'll try
That's
fixing it if
okay.
it's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, so straight away, let me quickly share our slide, the deck, and which says 6 months to CAT 2025. So, today we are going to discuss the strategy to get into IIMs. We have 6 months, and 6 months is a good time. If you've started, if you've not started, it is time to start now. We are also going to discuss the study plan, the timetable, how we should go about it, what we should do, what we should not do. So ये सारी चीजें हम आज बात करने वाले हैं. But before we start, just before this session, GPI and we're discussing that we have 200 days left. Actually, not even 200 days left anymore. 199 days left. So the clock is ticking, and we must get serious about it, right? So generally, so GP and Gautam, the idea is we have been giving a lot of wake up calls. Race to 99 percentile का head start जो किया was one wake up call which started in February. Daily dose started in February, March, which was another wake up call. Right, sectional test got added in April, which was a third wake up call. So we've been giving a lot of wake up calls, and this should be sort of a final wake up call for everyone. Yeah. So
We schools have given their wake up calls as well, right? With the results being out. So
yes.
students would know exactly, hopefully a lot of the CAT 2024 takers did well and they're getting into their dream B schools. But in case you feel you did not get where you feel you could have gotten, what your intention was, where you feel you deserve to get, then probably this is also the time that, the repeaters, they get back and they state, okay, now this is the time, next 6-7 months, I'm going to ace it. So to those who might have started a little earlier, the competition is entering the podium now. They've entered the ground. अब मैच में मजा आएगा. अब next mock जब लिखोगे, you'll be competing against some of those who've gone ahead and prepared already for a year and a half.
Yeah, so essentially what you are saying is you are sort of giving another wake up call to the new the people who are taking CAT for the first time. तुम उनको ये बोल रहे हो कि भाई पिछले साल वाले भी आ चुके हैं, right, who have started preparing quite some time back. So yeah, that's another reason to get serious. Okay, so with that, Acha, so should we start on a positive note? Let me quickly take a minute to share the the results. Right, so we have had 119 converts to IIM Ahmedabad, 108 PGP converts, and 111 PGP converts, and rest of them were FABM, Food and Agribusiness Management. So 119 IIM Ahmedabad, 212 IIM Bangalore, I think 108 FMS.
G12 IIM Calcutta, 136 IIM Bangalore,
yes,
107 FMS. Yeah.
So these are just, this sounds like numbers, but that is a huge pride for us, right? So yeah, with that, let's get into this. So today's agenda, as I said, we'll start with the exam timeline. So what is the time that we have, and how are we going to, how is it spread out, and how are we going to utilize it a bit? Then we'll talk about CAT 2024. How was CAT 2024? Because we all know every year CAT sort of differs in a bit, right? Overall, the pattern remains the same, but there are some changes which come in every year. It could be to do with question types. It could be to do with the difficulty level of the sections. It could also be to do with the number of questions, right? So, chota mota pattern changes keep happening. So, we will go with the last year's pattern to understand what CAT is. Then we'll get into the sectional analysis of how the sections are and what to score and how much will get you a certain percentile, 99 percentile or 100 percentile or 90 percentile or whatever that it is that you are aiming, right? So what score translates to what, and how are you going to get there? Then we'll talk about the 6-month prep plan in detail. Finally, we'll go to the do's and don'ts, and then how could CL help you, or how could you use CL resources to get where you want to. So that is the agenda for today. Let's straight away get into it. Exam timelines. So yes, no, GB, I guess you would like to take this up.
Yeah. So see, expected pattern, the pattern has always been the same. So there's something students worry about, but frankly, when you look at the pattern does not change. When I say the pattern does not change, we need to remember the question types is by and large the same. Whatever change happened, it happened only in the structure. But even the structure has been by and large stable for the last few years. Since COVID 2020, we have had 3 sections of 40 minutes each. And the number of questions has changed by 1 or 2 here or there. 2020 was 76 questions, but after that, there has been 66, 68 questions, that kind of a stuff. Now, when we look at the last column, 99 percentile, if you look at the overall paper, it says 60, this is 76 marks. Okay.
This was more or less along CAT 2023, not along CAT
हाँ,
24.
वही बोला, there's more like
Yeah,
CAT 24 was much higher. CAT 22 was again about 85. So the last column जो है ना, उसको मैं कभी अहमियत नहीं देना चाहता. To me, the simple rule to be adopted is if you can get a score of 50% marks. So most students worry about percentile. I'll only worry about percentage. And my target has to be to get about 66% marks in verbal and 50 to 55% marks in DILR quant. Okay. And hence I will have a very high score. Because if you look at even this year, Gautam, what was 99 percentile this year?
95, roughly around 95. Yeah, roughly around 95.
Which is less than 50% marks. This was 66 into 3, which is
it was 68 into 3 actually. DILR also had 22 questions, so it was 204.
Yeah. This is previous
So
year.
Here DILR should have been 20 to 22 based on the last 2 years.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So if you look at 68 into 3, 204 marks paper, 99 percentile is at about 95 marks. And if you get 50% marks, you'll be at least 99.23. So my target always is about 50 to 55% in quant and DILR. Verbal, if I get about 65% marks, 2/3, I think I've done a terrific job of the paper. So my suggestion to students is please look at the last column and ignore it completely.
Yep.
Right. Gautam, anything you would like to add before we move on?
No, I think that's about it. One interesting thing is, as you can see, the number of TETA questions, 17 questions. So एक चीज जो हमेशा बोलते हैं और you'll hear this from us over the next 6-7 months as well is all 17 should be attempted. Some of you all have this misnomer that TETA को गलत कर लिया तो scaling में कुछ problem हो जाती है because I got more negatives. Please keep in mind, CAT doesn't do all of that. If I score 32, Sazil scores 32, and both of us are in the same slot, we will end up getting the same percentile. It does not matter that I got 11 right and 1 wrong and Sazil got 13 right and 7 wrong. Eventually, percentile exactly same hoga. So it makes sense to ensure that you attempt every single TETA question. Take punts, take guesses, don't leave anything in TETA. That's the only thing.
Yeah, so I will just re-mention this. Dil Dosti Domino is also mentioning the same thing. Buddy, there seems to be a typographical error somewhere in the making of the PPT. It is 22 questions for DILR, so rest assured. Right, so let's go ahead with that. Okay. So what are the important dates here? CAT notification will be out on the last Sunday of July. Sometimes it is the last Sunday of July or the 31st of July or somewhere around that, right? So that is when the notification comes out. The registration of CAT starts in August, in second or third week of August, second week of August mostly. Last day to fill is, so you have a month to fill up the CAT form. However, we should not wait for an entire month. We should fill up the CAT form because we tend to miss the deadline if we wait for the last date, right? The sample mock is released by CAT IIM around 5th October, around the second week of October. Admit card comes on the second week of November, and CAT is on the last Sunday of November. That is the rule, right? So these are the important dates. So these are the landmarks, and we have to get serious now because we can't miss the dates. right? So suddenly when the notification comes out, you'll find that a lot of students will start taking pressure or stress, so you might as well start taking that right now if you are going to do that then. Okay, so let's get into the detail.
Just a couple of things related to the previous slide. Guys, one thing, sample mock से ये मत expect करना वो देख के मेरे को समझ आ जाएगा पेपर पैटर्न क्या है, ठीक है? हाफ द पीपल थिंक सैंपल मॉक का मतलब है यही है, रेप्लिका होगा, आ गया है ये लेवल ऑफ डिफिकल्टी, ये पेपर पे, nothing like that. The objective of the sample mock is, in case there are few students out there who do not know what the CAT interface looks like, आपको इंटरफेस का एक्सपीरियंस देने के लिए, that's it. 99.99% of the time the questions are from previous years, and if I am not wrong, over the last 3 years एक भी साल probably sample paper का जो pattern था वो actual CAT में नहीं आया. So please don't think that the sample paper pattern is going to state anything. Second thing is with respect to the admit card. Please look at what is written 10 to 11th November. Last year, if I'm not wrong, around 5th आया था. You had 17-18 days. ये 10 to 11th की जगह 14-15 November भी हो सकता है. वापस you could have 15 days or so. It takes 21 days for anything to become a habit. 15 days before CAT, if you get to know your slot is slot 1, 8:30 in the morning, which is, say you are in Delhi, आपको मीरठ जाना है, GP is very experienced, वो वहीं सेटल होते हैं CAT के आसपास, 1-2 दिन पहले वो मीरठ ही पहुंच जाते हैं कि वहीं आएगा मेरा. So अगर मीरठ जाना है, you will, and your reporting time is say 7:15, you will be leaving home at maybe 5:30, 5:45, which means you will be getting up at 5 a.m. When was the last time you got up at 5 a.m. for probably one of the most important days of your life? अब मी मत बोलना शुरू करना. 30% of you all will probably say yes, 70 will say 5 बजे तो सोने जाते हैं. So these are some of the things that you all need to keep in mind. Please ensure that over the course of the next 4-5 months, write mocks across these 3 slots. Don't tell yourself, हाँ मेरा तो 12:30 ही होगा, 4:30 ही होगा. Please ensure, if you are writing about say 20 mocks or 22 mocks before the admit card is released, 1/3 लेके 7 करके across सारे slot में लिख लेना, so that when the final slot is announced, you don't feel overwhelmed. These intangibles matter at the last moment. 2, 3 questions इधर उधर हो जाएंगे. That's a huge difference in percentile at the upper end. So yeah, Sazil, these were the 2 things.
Yes, absolutely apt. Right. So let's jump into the CAT 2024.
ये देखो मॉन्स्टर आहूजा सर, 5 भी नहीं 6 बजे सोने जाता हूँ, देखो आ गया. अब आपको अगर 8:30 AM का स्लॉट मिल गया क्या होगा?
हाँ, तो महीने भर पहले से 10-11 बजे सोने की आदत डाल देना भैया.
दीक्षार्थ इज आस्किंग सर कितने PYQ आते हैं? अच्छा कैट में, इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग लास्ट ईयर आई थिंक एक पर्टिकुलर स्लॉट में 1 या 2 क्वेश्चन आ गए थे, बट जनरली कोई रेपिटेशन नहीं आता है. टाइप ऑफ क्वेश्चंस माइट रिपीट, सेम क्वेश्चन रिपीटिंग इज नॉट वेरी लाइकली.
लास्ट ईयर कैट में 2 सवाल थे क्वांट में which were repeated, but one or question repeat होना is not an issue to me. 1 or 2 questions. To me the more important thing is that the concept gets repeated. So you should do the old papers only because all the questions that you see in the old papers, they will reappear not exactly the same, but the same concept gets repeated. So that's why it becomes helpful.
Utsav will answer that. We have one full section related to it, related to the 6-month prep plan when we get into each of the sections. Yeah, Sazi.
Yeah. So let's get into the CAT overview. So this gives you a great idea about generally how the trend has been, what scores translate to what percentile, right? So if you are focusing on CAT 2024 first, let's look at that, right? About 100 and so okay, let's start with 99 percentile. Okay, so 95 questions. 95 questions translates to roughly 95 ka score translates to 32 questions. I'm so sorry. So 32 questions out of a total 68 questions is not even 50%. Okay, so not even 50% net correct questions would get you a score and a percentile of 99 percentile, right? So having said that, now compare this with CAT 2023 and look at 99 percentile. It is at a score of 76. That is almost 19 marks or 6.5 questions less than CAT 2024. Which means that CAT 2023 was difficult, some section of it was difficult, right? And we'll come to CAT 2023 may be difficult, CAT 24 was slightly easier, 2022 was somewhere in between. So you see that there is no, so we keep telling, and a lot of students keep asking us, sir, CAT का level क्या होगा, CDC का level क्या होगा, and so on, right? पहले तो ध्यान से देखो तो CAT का कोई एक single level नहीं है, एक range है. इनफैक्ट कैट करके कुछ होता नहीं है, हर सेक्शन का एक रेंज है, right? So that some sections may be difficult, some section may be easy sometimes. So for example, in a one particular year, quant was very difficult, quant was slightly easier this year. तो वो difference हमेशा रहता है, and you don't know what section is going to change and where the marks are going to come. So I think you should get an idea about where you want to be in, from now on. When you write mocks, you will get an idea in the next 2-3 months. You get an idea about where you are going. However, you cannot have a single marks ka target where you will say कि इतना marks आएगा तो I will get this much percentile, because that depends on the merit of the paper. So what we have to essentially learn is to understand what kind of a paper is and how I can do best. Now again, you cannot gauge when you look at a paper कि ये easy है, difficult है, before you solve it. So only towards the end of it, after the paper, you can sit and analyze how it is going to be. That's what we do, right? But us time pe you have to solve as much as you can. You have to make your decisions of picking questions, not taking certain questions to do, right? And so on. So that is how you decide that how do you maximize your score. And in your mocks right now, that is exactly what you'll be trying. How do I maximize with what I know, right? So that is what this means. GP and Gautam, you can.
Yeah, just one thing. Please don't look at CAT 2018 and 19 papers. These papers were 3 hour papers. They were 100 questions or 300 marks paper. So please don't get the wrong impression. CAT 2020 was a paper which had 76 questions. So 220 mark paper with 102 marks, 40% marks gave you 99 percentile. CAT 21 was 66 into 3, 198 marks. Just about 50% is given, slightly less than 50% gave you 99 percentile. CAT 22, again 66 into 3, 198, 40% marks, 42% marks. CAT 23, again 198 mark papers, 38% marks give you this thing. So the critical thing again is when you look at CAT 21 to 24, all the 4 papers, 21, 23, 23, 24, have 66 or 68 questions, and look at the variation. So just I am highlighting what Sadhir said. There's nothing called a standard level of difficulty of CAT. It keeps on changing in year to year, and then every section has to be treated as an independent section.
Okay. Having said that, GP, if I were to, I would say if you want to keep certain benchmarks and goals in mind, I would state 50% of the total marks is a good goal to start with.
Yes.
If you look at the last 4 or 5 years, it's consistently been there. So चाहे जो भी हो, 50% of total marks अगर आप उसके आसपास हो, you're in the vicinity of 99. You'll surely be in and around that. I think that is one thing that you can take, and basis that you can analyze what the paper is looking like and ensure that your attempts are moving accordingly. That's the only thing I'd like to add. And 1-2 things that you can see is 99 to 99.5 में generally वो 10-12 mark का फर्क होता है. 99.5 to 99.9 में generally वो 15-20 mark का फर्क होता है. So these are certain benchmarks that you can keep in your head, but that does not mean that a 76 can't move to a 95 or it can't move to 100. But in general, जो total marks होगा उसका 50% अगर आप कर लो, you'll be in the vicinity of a 99 percentile.
And just to add one more thing, Gautam, based on what you said, please look at 99.9 percentile across the years. 60% marks. First division. So this is what tells you what this paper is. That you should not be looking at 100%. The problem is most of the time when you are preparing, you are thinking 99 percentile, but you are planning for 99 percentage. So remember, you need 50% marks or 60% marks or 40%. Even 40% marks, if you look across the years, 40% is always going to be more than something like about 95 percentile marks by and large. If you've got 40% marks, you are definitely 95 percentile or above. So the benchmarks are different. Don't treat it like your school or college paper जहाँ पे number बांटे जाते हैं. ठीक है? ये चीज नहीं है यहाँ पे.
Which also brings me to one more point, GP, कि इसीलिए बच्चे कुछ क्वेश्चंस को देख के, some difficult और moderate to difficult questions को देख के ये decide करना that CAT is difficult और मुझसे नहीं हो रहा है is not the right way to go about it. It's rather about picking the questions that you can do. Right, that's the game. If you understand what GP is trying to say and Gautam is trying to say, is that the game is about selection of questions that you can do and finding more and more questions that you can do over the period of next 6 months. That's the name of the game. Okay, a quick 1 or 2 questions at this juncture.
Yeah, so Monster Uja is saying, what if someone got first division in class 10? कोई problem नहीं है, 60 से शुरू होती है, 99.9, 99.99 भी first division होती है, तो कोई problem नहीं है. I think there are a couple of people talking, asking questions related to VARC specifically, stating कि accuracy में problem है, and I think we can hold on to that till we reach the analytics part, because I think we'll talk very specifically about it.
Can I take one question that Diksha is asking? Sure. Jan से पढ़ाई start की थी. I am at 80 percentile. So Diksha, first of all, I'm assuming that Jan 2025 की बात कर रहे हो आप, ठीक है? And since then you started and you might have taken 1 or 2 or 3 mocks, is what I assume. And if you are reaching 80 percentile, that's a good thing. अगर अभी 99 आ जाएंगे तो तू 6 महीने क्या करेगा, right? So hold it. You are doing a good job, ठीक है?
And इसमें एक और चीज है. Just one thing, Gautam, इसमें regarding the student who's saying कि 80 पे फंसा हुआ हूँ, can you see where are you wasting time in the paper? Because if you are stuck at 80 percentile, remember 80 percentile is something like 33% marks. So you are wasting time somewhere doing questions which are difficult for you. So if you stop doing those difficult questions, you'll have sufficient time to do the easy questions. So paper taking is an art which you have to work on. Every time you take a paper, please go back to the paper and try identifying which are the questions you should not have attempted because they were difficult or time consuming, and which are the easy questions you missed out because you attempted the difficult ones. If you can get this equation right, leaving the difficult time consuming question, attempting the easy questions, you will very easily jump from 80 to 95 percentile.
If you can just go forward by 2 slides, I think we've kind of answered this. Just go next slide. Next. Uske baad wala, sorry, my bad. Ye. I think this is a very good representation of what increasing your score by 1 mark every 3 to 4, one question every 3 to 4 weeks can imply to your percentile. Now, if I'm reading this table, what I'm stating is, as of today, if you're at 50 percentile, let's pick up that example. If you can improve by 1 question by 8th of June, you move to almost a 67 percentile. If I'm looking at it from a CAT perspective, last year, कि वो 3 marks से आप कितना 17 percentile jump कर रहे हो. You go another question, you move from 67 to 74. Another you move to 80, another 84, 88, 91, 93, and eventually 94.5. So if you improve by 1 question every 3.5 weeks, and here obviously a caveat that we've taken last year as a benchmark to showcase कि वो एक 3 mark increase से कितना percentile jump हो सकता है. So this is what you need to keep in your mind. I think I'm good enough to improve by about 1 question every 3.5 weeks, and not 1 question per section, 1 question overall. So first get that confidence and then see how you act upon it. GP, I think you wanted to say something.
Clarification on this also, कि 50 percentile से शुरू करके जो गौतम ने example दिया, you can reach a 94.5. This could also be a 97, 98. It could also be a 85, right? That depends on your preparation. So this is a trend that we've seen of the past year, as Gautam already said.
No, not even a trend, Sazil. What I'm saying is, this is basis last year's score to percentile mapping, actual data.
Exactly.
एक question अगर improve करोगे, तो क्या होगा?
So just take it with a pinch of salt. And also I want to add to what GP said. So GP ने बोला कि टेस्ट कैसे लेते हैं उस पर डिपेंड करता है. और also दीक्षार्थ जो 80 percentile आया है, तो if you've taken 2 or 3 mocks already, did you go back and analyze them right? Did you go and solve them again? Right, that is a question. So if you do that, there's a higher chance of improving, because then you'll know where you're going wrong, what you're doing right. Repeat what you are doing right and avoid what you're doing wrong. So I think that is a learning that you'll get. Okay.
So I like Monster Uja's attitude. 1 question per month everyone can do. Utna kar lo. मिनिमम इतना ग्रोथ हो जाएगा.
Okay.
Yeah. Dil Dosti Domino's is saying I currently have 10 months of WorkX as of May. Is it ideal? ठीक है. आइडियल वर्क एक्स तो कुछ होता नहीं है. आई जनरली स्टेट 24 to 36 मंथ्स होता है आइडियल, बिकॉज एवरीथिंग गेट सॉर्टेड इन दैट, यू गेट द मैक्सिमम मार्क्स. एक नॉर्मल कर्व होता है जो IIM बैंगलोर बनाता है. सो 10 मंथ्स इज फाइन. जनरली बिलो 12 मंथ्स पे कोई पॉइंट्स मिलते नहीं है. एंड दे विल लुक एट मंथ्स ऑफ वर्क एक्स एज ऑफ, इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग, 31st of July. So which
Yeah.
means you add another 2.5 months, you will reach about 12 months. You will get some points. You will get some points because you will be at about 12 months.
So also, when we say this, the people who don't have a work experience get a little worried. Don't get worried, right? All the IIMs and all the top B schools take both freshers and work experience students, whether the work experience is 1 year or 2 years or 3 years or 4 years, whatever it is. There is a sort of a distribution, and there's always a demand for all of you, right? It's just the difference in the kind of percentile that you will need to be able to get a call, right? That's the difference, right? Okay. Okay. So GB, we can move ahead. Gautam.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So this is basically your score to percentile from a sectional perspective. We've spoken about the overall ki 99 percentile was roughly in the vicinity of 95, which is about 31-32 questions. Now, if you start looking at it from a sectional perspective, you will see 99 last year in VARC was around 41, which is roughly around net correct of about 14 odd questions. And the good part is, if I'm not wrong, over the last 3 years, it has consistently been between 40 and 43. A consistency aa gayi hai, which means CAT has been setting very standardized papers over the last 2-3 years, at least in this section, because consistently, if you're in this range of 40 to 43, you're knocking on the door of a 99 percentile. DILR, this is GP's pet dialogue कि जब भी पेपर पैटर्न में कुछ चेंज होता है, लेवल ऑफ डिफिकल्टी इजी हो जाता है. सो वही DILR में 22 क्वेश्चन हो गए, नंबर ऑफ क्वेश्चन थोड़े बढ़ गए, लेवल ऑफ डिफिकल्टी थोड़ा बढ़ गया, the level of difficulty became easier, and we saw कि 99 percentile went up to 38. If I look at it for a couple of years before that, 99 percentile used to hover somewhere in the vicinity of about 29 to 32 marks. So 2 क्वेश्चन बढ़े, वो 2 क्वेश्चन से ही 99 percentile shift हुआ, roughly around 13 net correct. One thing to keep in mind is DILR was one section where a lot of normalization happened, because the first slot ended up being the easiest, whereas slot 2 and slot 3 ka level of difficulty in DILR was different. So normalization is also an important concept which you all should be aware of, which is your percentile is not just dependent upon how others in your slot have done. It's also dependent upon the relative level of difficulty of your paper vis-a-vis the other 2 slots. So that also becomes important, which means if your section, your slot ka DILR section is the easiest, you will need to solve a couple of extra questions vis-a-vis, say, the second slot, third slot people to get a similar percentile. So that's one thing. And finally, quant, इसमें एक interesting part है. Look at that 85 percentile mark in quant, 14 marks. The year before, it was roughly around 12 to 13 marks. 90 percentile, 19 marks. The year before, it was about 16 marks. So even though quant was relatively easier as compared to the previous year, a 90 percentile was still in the vicinity of anywhere between 18 to 20 marks. Again, please realize this is only CAT 2024. 23 में difficult था ज़्यादा तो वो 16 हो गया. Next year हो सकता है even easier paper हो जाए तो वो 22 भी जा सकता है. So take all of this with a pinch of salt. But one thing that you can probably keep in your mind is, when it comes to overall, when you are starting to look at it, the thing that we pointed out, which is roughly 50% of the total marks will get you to a 99 overall, and your focus should always be in no section should I end up scoring less than an 85 percentile, so that I clear all sectional cutoffs of all top B schools. So now keep that as the benchmark and move forward. Yeah, GP.
And 80%, 85 percentile is about 33% marks, by and large, 33-35% marks. So you do 1/3 of the paper, you are at 85 to 90 percentile in each section. Aggregate, you will be about 90 percentile plus.
Right. So just moving on to the next one. This particular slide gives you a good idea about the sectional minimum or sectional cutoff. Now there are two different things. Sectional cutoff अलग चीज होती है. These days sectional cutoffs generally होते नहीं है. Sectional minimum होते हैं. Sectional minimum means that if you have, for example, IIM Ahmedabad, if you get below 80 percentile, you will not get a call from IIM Ahmedabad. That doesn't mean that if you get 81 percentile, you will get a call. That does not mean that. So even at a 99 percentile, you may not get a call. And even at a 85 percentile, you may get a call. But 80 के नीचे तो नहीं आएगा. That is what it means. It also means that let's say you have 99, 95 percentile overall, but in one of the sections, you don't have a 70 percentile, you know. बाकी दोनों में you've scored crazy, but VRC में you've not scored, or whichever, right? In that case also, you will not get a call, even though you are at a high percentile, just because you've not cleared the sectional minimum of a particular section, right? So that is what this means. So if you look at it, the highest being IIM Lucknow. I believe even MDI has the same sectional minimum, Gautam Baba, right? So 85 percentile in each section, right? So that is the maximum that is there. Otherwise, all the rest of them have 80, 75, 70, and a variation thereof. So I think that's that on this one. Is there anything to add, GP and GB?
Correct.
No, not really. I think we can move on.
Great. And we have almost we've discussed this. And just take a quick look at if you are, so like someone said, you are at 80 percentile. If some of you are at 40 percentile, there is a huge scope of increasing that one question. That is what this slide says. If you move one question in a couple of 2 weeks or 3 weeks, this is where you can get. And this is a huge possibility. This is to answer your question. कि सर मैं आज यहाँ पे हूँ, क्या मेरा XYZ percentile आ सकता है? तो yes, the answer is yes. What you need to do is add that one question, net correct, right? So that is what you need to do. Okay. So coming to the third part of the session today, CAT analytics. So we'll start. We'll go section by section, and we'll start with VARC here. So this gives an idea about how the VARC section has been over the past 6 years, right? Starting from 2019 all the way to 2024. So if you see, reading comprehension has always been the biggest section, subsection in VARC. So reading comprehension is of very important. In fact, if I were to say 70% of your paper at least, and that's not just to do with CAT. You go across exams. Reading comprehension is one of the most important parts of VARC. In fact, I will just go on to add that even the para summary, para jumble, odd one out, para completion, if you are working on reading comprehension, these are they use the same skills essentially, right? So if your base is good as far as RC is concerned, you can score well in VARC as such. So having said that, so that was about RC. Past 4 years, it has been consistent with 16 questions, 4 RCs of 4 questions each. That has been the composition of the reading comprehensions. So you have to read 4 passages and handle 4 questions each. Now, a lot of students say कि मैं इसमें से एक करूंगा, 2 करूंगा, कौन सा करूंगा, but generally the idea is to maximize across RCs, right? Yeah, you should do as many questions of all the RCs as much as possible. As many questions, which means I might not be able to do all 4 questions of each RC. In some RC, I might do 4. In some RC, I might do 1 or 2, and that's okay, right? But the idea is to maximize there. That's one part of it. The second part is VA, verbal ability. Now, verbal ability has 4 question types, has had 4 question types in the past 6 years, right? So if you look at it, generally para summary has always been there. Para jumble has always been there. I think यहाँ पे 0 दिखा रहा है in the last one, but it was there last year, right? Para completion and odd one out. So odd one out was also historically there for one odd year. I think it was 2022. It wasn't there, right? And in place of that, we had a para completion. From 2023 onwards, all 4 types of questions exist, right? So basically, you have 5 question types. Now, let me quickly explain to you what each of these is. RC, we know. You have a passage, you have 4 questions, and you, on the basis of the passage and my understanding, my comprehension of it, I am supposed to answer the questions, right? Now, para jumble. Para jumble, you have a paragraph, which has 4 or 5 sentences. The 5 sentences are jumbled up, and you have to arrange them in logically coherent sequence. So that is what parajumble is. So the second sentence should come first, right? And the third sentence should come last, and you have to arrange that. So that is what parajumble is all about. Odd one out is a similar question type where you again have 4 or 5 sentences generally, and in those 5 sentences you have to pick one which doesn't match in that paragraph, right? So that is the odd one out. Para summary is about again a small passage is given to you, and 4 possible summaries are given to you, and you have to pick the one option which summarizes the passage the best. So that is what para summary is about. And para completion is largely where you have again a paragraph with missing sentence, either in the beginning, in the end, or somewhere in between, and you have to find out where you can place that sentence best. So that is the idea. Now let's understand, as far as importance is concerned, all these 4 types of verbal ability questions are almost of equal number, 2 or 3 questions thereabout, right? So it keeps changing, but as you can see, 2 or 3 questions you can assume come from each of these. So that is how it makes a total of 8 questions. So 16 questions of RC, 8 questions of VA. That is how the composition is. Of this, 2 question types are theta. Those 2 question types are parajumbles and odd one out. Now, what does theta mean? Theta means non-MCQ, which means you have to enter the answer, right? So when you have to enter the answer, that means parajumble means you have to enter the sequence, that the third sentence, then the first sentence, second sentence, and fourth sentence. So 3, 1, 2, 4 is a sequence. So that is how you enter the number 3, 1, 2, 4. In odd one out, you only have to mention one option, which is the odd one out, right? So that is what the theta questions entail as far as VARC is concerned, right? Okay. In case there's anything to add, otherwise I'll just move on to the next one. So here is a score versus percentile that we showed you before as well. This will give you an idea about verbal section mein how much to attempt. Now here, I hope I'm audible.
Yeah.
Am I
Perfectly fine.
Okay. So just to understand, I will start with a statement that VARC, in my opinion, and I'm sure everyone will agree, is one of the most scoring section, the most scoring section, if I'm not wrong. Highest marks generally are scored in VARC sections, right? So some of you asked in the chat that VARC, I'm not able to move the score in VARC. Well, that is a possibility, but VARC may eventually the score will come from that, and you don't know when that score will increase. So all you have to do, in my opinion, is keep trying, keep solving questions, keep solving tests, and keep analyzing them. How did you get them right, or how did you get them wrong? Once you understand why you got a certain question wrong and why the other option is the answer, when you figure that out, somewhere you subconsciously you are understanding the way to solve that question, right? So that is what you need to do. So just quickly talking about the scores here. Again, if you look at the 99 percentile, it was roughly 41 across the last 2 years. The level has been the same. It was slightly maybe difficult by one odd question in 2022. So you see that there's a difference of 2.5 marks there, right? 2021 was way easier. So you have a 45 marks as a cutoff.
Yeah, Sadil, if you, sorry to butt in, Sadil, but if you look at 99 percentile for verbal from CAT 2020 to 24, it is about 40 plus minus 2. That means 40 marks is 40 marks out of 66. This is 26, huh? About 78 marks. So it which again is around 55% marks. 24, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so verbal is the one which is the most stable section. By and large, you will see that we are talking about 40 marks in the paper would be somewhere around 99 percentile.
And that 40 marks translates to 13 questions, so 13, 14 questions odd, right? 14 questions, if I may. So 14 questions
14 out of 24.
24 questions is not a difficult task in that sense. It might be difficult now, but take yourself 6 months down, it will not be a difficult task. So all you need to do is keep working on VARC, right? So let's move to DILR.
Just a couple of things, Sazil. Just a couple of things related to verbal. If you just go back to the previous slide, 2 things, guys. I would recommend, in addition to what Sazil has pointed out. Number one, होता क्या है, sometimes we see that the lion's share is RC and we do not give enough time, both in terms of practice and secondly in terms of time in the paper to the verbal section. Please ensure that is not done. There are 8 questions there up for grabs. There is 24 marks up for grabs. Even if you get about 5 of those right, a couple wrong, you're still looking about 13, 14 marks जो मिल रहे हैं वहाँ. And they are, I wouldn't say they are difficult to get, especially if I look at para completion. It is generally slightly easier. Your paragraph is given, एक line कहाँ पे आनी है, वो generally थोड़ा easier होता है. या फिर am I back? Yeah, there's a net issue, like I stated. I'm traveling, so I'm apologizing for that. So, like I was stating, please keep this in mind that para summary and the para completion. These two are places where you can actually go ahead and get few marks in your pocket. Don't miss out on that. So that's one. Second, even in RCs, one important thing that I hope everybody is doing at this point in time is spending about an hour per day reading. And when I say reading, I talk about very, very specific sources, sources from where passages come, or sources which are similar to sources from which passages come, which is A1, AEON. Go read essays from there. Yeah, Aeon, NYT, Guardian, Hindu. Please, look at these sources.
Gautam,
please go ahead and read from there.
Yeah, we will be
Am I
covering
back?
this and in the next section also as a question. So let's take it up a little later.
Perfect.
In depth.
Sure.
So Gautam, let's start with DILR now.
Yeah, sure. So DILR, guys, if you have a look at it from the perspective of the last 8 years or so, and you break it down into genres or the topics from which LRDI comes. Now, generally people state LRDI में topics होते ही नहीं है. We state नहीं, LRDI में topics होते हैं. LRDI में specific concepts होते हैं. For example, आप arrangement को ही देखो, you can break it up into linear arrangement, circular arrangement, numbers and arrangement, matrix arrangement, miscellaneous arrangement. Arrangement can have multiple subtopics, and each of them there is a specific way of looking at it. Linear arrangement of 2 parameters, 3 parameters, and anything more than 3 parameters, there are specific techniques of approaching those questions. Hence, what we like to do is we like to break it up into genres. And if you break it up into genres and look at this table here, look at all genres जहाँ पे more than 5 sets आए हैं over the course of the last 8-9 years. It ends at unconventional and hybrid games and tournaments. Other than that, all genres में you've got less than 5 sets which have come. Which means if I add 21, 29 and 8, 37 and 9, 46 and 7, that's 53 sets we are talking about, which have come from very, very specific areas. And these are 4 or 5 areas which things will come from. Reasoning based DI आता है, matrix and grid आता है, matrix arrangement जो arrangements में आ जाता है आता है, Venn diagrams पता है आता है, games and tournaments पता है आता है, scheduling and matrix पता है आता है. So it is very important for us to realize that you need to approach LRDI also as a genre based game or as a topic based game. Don't just look at it as मैं randomly set solve कर दूंगा तो हो जाएगा, वो नहीं होगा. Break it up into concepts, break it up into sub concepts, make notes, understand what needs to be done. If we could move to the next slide, Sazil, once, and look at the second half. Here, once again, you look at it. Roots and networks, Gantt chart, maxima, minima, algebra caselet, arithmetic caselet, DI based on statistics. You're talking about all of these which have less than 5 sets that have come, and miscellaneous something that we can't club in any specific place. So what I want you all to realize is, and a lot of you all state, yeah, time management बहुत बड़ा issue हो जाता है. मैं बोलूंगा at this point in time, if I am sitting here, can I ensure that by the time I am say at mid June to end of June, at least I am confident of the fact कि मैं एक set उठा के कर सकता हूं या कर सकती हूं. One set. If you are able to do one set in totality, if you are able to get 15 marks in control on an average, you have ensured sectional cutoff has been taken care of. First, get that confidence that I am able to identify out of the 4 or 5 sets which are given, which is the one that I should pick up. And once I have picked that one set, I trust myself. I don't try it out and then leave it in 5 minutes, 7 minutes, कह के multiple cases आते हैं. I speak to a few students and they state, sir, जैसे ही मुझे लगता है 2 केस बन रहे हैं या 3 केस बन रहे हैं, मैं सेट छोड़ देता हूँ. एक्सपेक्टेशन क्या है कि कैट कोई भी ऐसा सेट नहीं देगा या कैट के सारे सेट्स एक ही केस में हो जाएंगे, कोई केसेस ही नहीं निकलेंगे. यार, CAT is also an exam for, it's an entrance test to get into one of the top B schools of the country. It's a way, it's paving your path to go ahead and earn the big bucks. They want to make it slightly difficult. They don't want to make it a pathway of roses. थोड़ी सी तो मेहनत करोगे ना. You don't state, यार मेरे को 2 केस देखे मैंने छोड़ दिया, मैं आ गया, और बाद में जब मैं सॉल्व करने गया, I realized it was easy. That is because you were not trusting yourself at that point in time. Trust your gut, go ahead and spend that time. If I just go one slide ahead, Sazil, and that becomes a very, very important slide, which talks about the level of difficulty of the sets that have come over the last few years. We've broken it down into easy, medium, difficult, and difficult. 102 sets, difficult plus medium to difficult, agar add karo, that's 45 sets. That means you are basically stating 57 sets could have been classified as medium or below medium. You are basically saying roughly 55%, more than half the paper any year was classified as medium or below medium. हम वो मानते नहीं है. हमें लगता है कैट में घुसते ही 5 सेट है तो 4 तो डिफिकल्ट होंगे, मेरे को बस वो एक ढूंढना है. नहीं होता. There are 2 to 3 doable sets there, easy to moderate. And that comes from practice and experience. If you've written enough number of mocks, have you practiced enough number of sets across every genre, across every topic? Did I do enough number of topic tests in arrangements? Did I do the same in scheduling and matrix? Did I do the same in games and tournament? Did I do the same in radar charts? Did I do the same in Gantt charts? And so on and so forth. Ensure there is adequate amount of practice that you put in. And secondly, each time you go ahead and write a mock, trust your instincts. Trust yourself that if I've identified something, I am not just going to leave it in 4-5 minutes. I don't also mean कि 15 मिनट में कुछ हिला नहीं तो भी बैठे रहो. जीबी ने तो बोला था कि एक सेट ही करना है तो बैठे रहना है. Please don't take it to the other extreme either कि 15 मिनट में हिल नहीं रहा फिर भी मैं वो करूंगा. So be logical, but also back yourself in terms of the decisions that you have made. Otherwise, you'll be in a situation where you'll be constantly in a state of flux. एक उठाता हूँ 10 मिनट 7 मिनट लगाता हूँ कुछ नहीं हुआ, नेक्स्ट उठाता हूँ 7 मिनट लगाता हूँ कुछ नहीं हुआ. And one last thing to keep in mind in DILR is, please realize while we talk sets, eventually it's a question of game. It's a question of questions. It's a game of questions. Your cutoffs, when it is 99 percentile at 38 or a 90 percentile at 20, whatever it is, gets translated into net correct of 13 questions, 7 questions, 6 questions, and so on and so forth. Nobody is saying you can't attempt all 5 sets and do 2 questions out of those or 3 out of those. हर सेट में 1-2 सिटर होते हैं और ये आपने RT99 में ऑलरेडी एक्सपीरियंस कर लिया होगा. We already gone ahead and done this across 3 CAT papers over the last 2 to 3 months. If you haven't, I will suggest please go through the RT99 sessions that have happened. The videos are available on YouTube. It will give you a good insight into what CAT DILR is all about and how you can approach it. Yeah, that's it. Sazil GP, in case you want to add something.
No, I think you have covered everything.
So I think we should move to, because GB has a lecture, so I think we'll move to quant immediately, right? So yeah, GP over to you.
Yeah, so if you look at quant as such, I think that arithmetic algebra is the key thing. It's about 75% of the paper. And if you look at any of the papers, past papers, you'll find at least 70%, most of the time 3/4 of the paper comprises these 2 sections. And rest of the people are there, which means geometry, mensuration, number system, modern math, but that's by and large a guest appearance they play. So if you have to do well in this paper, you have to be thorough with at least one of these 2, which is arithmetic and algebra, ideally both of them. And the others then can add to the do a top up on it. Okay? So that's essentially what we need to look at as far as this paper is concerned. Again, as Gautam was talking about DILR, if you look at this particular paper, quant DILR, the section of quant, you realize that quant again has a mix of easy, medium, and difficult questions. And the number of easy and medium questions will typically be, again, if not more, at least 60%. So out of 22 questions, you will always find there are at least 12 to 14 questions which are doable, which are easy and medium, and there are 5-6 questions which are difficult. So, and your focus has to be on ensuring that you get all those easy questions right. And which is why when you're preparing also, don't worry too much about the extremely difficult questions. Questions will take 5 minutes to solve, questions whose logic you don't understand. Then maybe they are not relevant for you at all. You just look at doing the easy and the medium questions. And when you're practicing also start looking at the choices and try applying Jugaad solution that we talk about, both in quant and DILR. So that's what I would say is what you need to be looking for. Typically, 10 to 12 questions, if you have done a terrific job in this paper. Yes, Adil, over to you.
Right. So, so here is what GP was already saying. Right. These are the total number of questions that have come over the last 5 years. Right. So you see that arithmetic has 135 questions, which is 39-40% of the weightage. Right. Algebra again has had 115 questions that we saw in CAT, and that is 33.6%. So 40 and 33 is straight 73% there. So just to start with, these two will give you a good sort of a impetus in quant, right? And then once you are good at
And
those,
Sadil, if you can just go back the slide. Now, when we look at arithmetic, please don't think arithmetic is one. You might be great at time and work and profit loss. You may not be able to handle time spent distance. Be okay with it, because if you look at the average, arithmetic is on an average 9 questions, but no question is more than 2. Highest is time speed distance 1.73. So on an average between time speed distance, time and work, you'll get 2 and 1 questions. Profit loss discount 1 question. Average is 1 question. Mixture is 1 question. Ratio is 1 question. SICI 1 question. So if you find that you are banking on arithmetic, but there's 1 question of time speed distance which you don't understand, that's perfectly fine. You prepare for it after the paper, but during the paper, don't worry about it. Okay. So remember, arithmetic is not one topic; it is a combination of 6-7 topics, and none of the topics will give you more than 2 questions. So just make sure in each of these topics or subtopics of arithmetic, you are able to do at least the easy and the medium ones. And the same thing would be true for algebra also. Sadil, if you go to the next one, please. Yeah. The same thing. On an average, 7 to 8 questions. Again, look at the top 4-5. Quadratic, sequence, functions, linear equations. These are the top 4. 1 to 2 questions from each of them, not more than 2 questions from any. And this is what is important to understand, that between arithmetic and algebra, when we are saying there are about 15 odd questions or 16 questions in the paper out of 22. These 16 questions are from 10 different areas. Okay.
right.
Yes, Azim, we can go forward. Yeah.
So here is geometry. Again, geometry ka weightage also, if you see, and okay, part of it is geometry, the rest is number theory and math, modern math, right? So the weightage has been very, very small. However, those people who are targeting a higher score might not want to leave this. So, but first you start with arithmetic and algebra, as GP suggested, the topics of it at least, and then probably once you are good with that, you can move on to other topics. Agar lectures le rahe ho, then don't skip these. At least go through this course, right? Course level pe skip mat karo.
Yeah, I just want to clarify. You start with arithmetic algebra, then move to geometry and modern maths and number theory, because arithmetic algebra give you the maximum number of questions. That is why it has to be done first. At no stage I want you to think कि आज मेरे को decide कर लिया geometry नहीं करना. That would be stupid, because geometry also will have couple of easy questions. There are 3 to 4 questions of geometry. There will be 2 questions which are likely to be very easy and can be solved without too much of problem. Similarly, if you look at number theory, there was a question of number of factors, which is a part of number theory. Why would I not do that? So each of these topics will have easy, medium, difficult questions. So across all areas, whether it is modern maths, number theory, geometry, arithmetic, algebra, across all areas, you should be able to definitely handle the easy questions. In your area of strength, you should be able to handle the medium and the difficult questions also. But you cannot afford to leave easy questions from any domain.
Right. So GP, I'll take one question here which is relevant because he pucha how many questions should we practice for quant? So is that, I don't know if he's asking daily or overall, but if you could just give a quick idea about how he should go about solving. I'll just
Yes.
mention one thing before you
Sure. Yeah,
say
please.
that. So
Then continue, Salim.
so guys, when you this question comes in कि कितना solve करना चाहिए, right? First of all, understand that if you have enrolled in any of the programs which has daily dose, right? Daily dose is meant to give you a daily practice of questions, no, for all the subjects. That will keep you in practice, but that doesn't answer the question still. So over to you, GP.
No, see, when you say how many questions for quant, again, I'll boil down, bring it down to a topic or subtopic. If you look at area and volume, if you have done about 30 questions from area and volume, that's good enough. Triangles, again, about 30, 35 questions. So per topic, if you do 30 chord questions on a ballpark, it is good enough. But as you said, there's one part to look at the number of questions. The second thing is, many times I see students doing not 30 but 300 questions and still not getting anywhere. And the reason there is, once you do 30 questions, you should be able to say, okay, these are the questions that I'm comfortable with. These are questions which still require me to put in some effort. Maybe those are the specific kind of question I need to do more. Secondly, the question which I keep getting stuck with are the ones for which I need to revise regularly. So the question which Dikshant has asked, how many questions to practice for quant, I will add to it. It is not the number of questions. Once you have done 30, 40 questions from a particular topic, it is good enough. After that, it is going to be essentially about revision. Students spend a lot of time on practicing new and new kind of questions and keep forgetting the earlier ones. So as a part of your preparation, both for quant and DILR, my suggestion would be every time you do a set of questions, whether practice questions, mock test, daily dose, after you have done it and gone through the solution, can you please identify which are the questions you need to be revising? Which are the questions or data sets you should be revising? The ones which are a bit confusing for you, but you are able to do them. The questions which give you some new concept. Question which give you some shortcut jugaad solution or some interesting way of solving it. Please keep revising those questions or those data set at least once in 2 weeks so that you don't forget those methods. Anything similar in the paper, you'll be able to do it very fast. Please remember one of the questions which keeps coming is, how do I increase my speed? Speed does not increase with practice. Speed increases with revision. When you keep doing the same thing again and again, the calculations improve, your ability to draw the table improves, your ability to collate the data improves. So please focus on revision as much as you focus on practice.
Right. I think Dikshart has another question, but I think we'll take it up at an opportune time going forward. So Dikshart, about the sources of where you should practice from, we'll talk about this. Okay. So again, going forward, this gives you an idea about the score versus percentile. So GP,
I just take one question, Adil. I'm sorry for interrupting, because it's important and connected with what we have talked about. See, Utsav, the mistake you are committing is you have decided मेरे को arithmetic करना है. You have to, in the paper, you have to do easy question of arithmetic and not do the difficult question of arithmetic. In trying to do all question of arithmetic, you are ensuring you will not have time to do easy question of algebra, geometry. Okay, so I'm sorry for the disturbance. Okay? But the idea being that in the paper, please keep attempting only the easy questions. If you have time later on, you can do the medium also. Easy questions across areas have to be attempted. And that is what you need to correct as far as you are concerned also.
Right. So again, coming back to the slide, 99 percentile at 33%, which means 33 ka score, I'm so sorry, which means 11 questions will give you a 99 percentile out of 22 questions. If you look at 95 percentile, it is as low as 7 questions, 7 to 8 questions. And a 90 percentile is as low as 6 questions. So if 6-7 questions net correct will give you 90 to 95 percentile as per last year's paper. The year before it was slightly difficult, so you needed one question lesser to be able to get that percentile because utna difficult tha. right? So GP, any other insights from this one?
No, end of the day, all you need to remember is 99 percentile is easily achieved if you do all the easy questions and maybe about 2 or 3 different medium questions. If you attempt difficult question, you will usually not get a 90 percentile also. Because difficult question, not only do they take more time, there's the chance of making a mistake also higher. So in attempting a paper, when you're attempting the paper, please focus on the easy question. After you have attempted the paper, check the solution. Now you look at doing all the remaining questions also. From those questions, identify which question you can do in future and start revising them. Put them in your book of revision. Go through the video solution and the Jugaad solution if available, and again identify questions for revision. So that's that process which you need to follow on a regular basis. So don't go for quantity, but whatever you are doing, please do it very well.
Right. So, okay. So we've covered all the subjects. Still, we are going to talk about the 6-month prep plan subject by subject. So we'll go through this quickly. So have a structured study plan. 6 महीने क्या करना है? Have a structured study plan. Try to stick to the structured study plan. No human can stick to a plan 100%. So it's okay to slip sometimes. It is important to bounce back. Please understand that it is very important to keep bouncing back for the next 6 months. So how should that structured plan go? Right. So the first thing is, let's start with the first point, the preparation. So you're already doing the preparation. You might already be solving chapters. You might already have started understanding the RC skills and started practicing RCs and so on. So preparation is on. Practice is the next step. So whatever you learned, like GP said, you keep practicing a couple of questions of that particular topic or subtopic. So preparation has to be followed closely with practice. Once you do this, a parallel thing starts, which is the test taking. I hope you guys have already started taking your mocks. If you've not started already, please start immediately, right? It is very wrong to wait and say that my preparation khatam karunga and then I will go for writing mocks. That is not the right way, because these two things generally work in a parallel manner. Because while you are doing your preparation, there are certain learnings which will come through the mocks, certain realizations, certain learnings, selection, rejection of questions, elimination, that is elimination of options. All of these things will get practiced as you write the mocks, right? You'll start identifying Jugaad questions or solving questions by logic. You'll start doing all this. So please start writing mocks. Hence, what you will do after preparation and practice is go for a basic strategy, right? To start with. When you apply that strategy to the test, you'll come to know whether the strategy has worked or not, or which strategy has worked and which strategy has not worked. And then you will do an analysis. And this cycle will just go on and on for the next 6 months. That is how it is. So please follow this plan. Please write mocks. Have a structured weekly study plan. So generally, I say daily plans are too short to be able to follow to the T. And monthly, you will lose yourself. So weekly plans are something that you should make. So make chunks of what you're going to do in a week and try to follow that, right? If you miss today, then you try to cover up tomorrow. So that is how you should be going about it. So efficient time management in the preparation and in the test, both need to be learned. A focused preparation, of course, because if you don't know what you're working on, right, you might lose 10 chapters and not do them, and then come to know at the end that I've missed those 10 chapters. So that is not how you should be doing. So a focused, structured preparation. Consistent monitoring of the progress, which means that you keep testing yourself through mocks, through sectionals, through topic tests, through daily dose, and you come to know that whether I'm improving. I solved my TSD chapter in the last 2 days and I'm still not able to get a question right in the topic test. Then I need to understand why that is. So you need to constantly monitor your progress. Don't stress. Okay, it's important to take pressure to be able to do something, but when that pressure becomes stress, it affects your work. So at any point of time, for example, a lot of students who are taking tests now are saying, sir, mera 30 percentile aaya. It doesn't matter. Right now, don't judge yourself on the basis of percentile to take stress. Don't do that. Right? So rather learn from it and reformulate your strategy and apply that in the test. right? So do that. And an
And
optimized resource.
Sunil, just to add to what you said, please remember a mock is a learning tool. It's a tool to help you assess yourself and to learn from there. No one is going to give you admission on the basis of your marks in the mocks. So please
Absolutely.
don't take these marks or percentiles so seriously that you stop learning. Your focus has to be to learn through these papers and not to worry about the percentile. Okay, कि अगर mock में 30 आया तो CAT में भी 30 आएगा. नहीं, CAT is still 6 months away. So you have ample time to cover up for that gap.
And GP, the last point is my favorite, because we've been observing and talking about this for a while, कि बच्चों का फेवरेट होता है कि रिसोर्स कलेक्ट करते हैं, मटेरियल कलेक्ट करने में टाइम वेस्ट करते हैं, जो है हाथ में, they don't end up solving it. So guys, this game is not about collecting more and more books and materials or more and more things at your end, right? It's about what you have, you use it right. So optimized resource utilization is what you need to do, right? You don't need 4 test series. Maybe you might need 1 or 2. You don't need 4. You don't need to go and take 3 mocks across 4 different test series. You don't need to do that.
With
Yeah.
respect to this preparation, just want to add a couple of things. First thing that students need to remember is only CAT has some kind of a syllabus. Only quantitative aptitude has some kind of syllabus, some kind of structured syllabus. DILR is a little lower on the scale with respect to syllabus, and there's no syllabus for English. Okay, so when you are doing your preparation, you have to go sequentially. Finish off arithmetic, all topics, then quant, then the algebra, and so on and so forth. That you can do out here. But when it comes to DILR and English, all you need to do is on a daily basis practice both of them. So maybe about 1 hour of reading and testing of English. Maybe 2 to 4 DILR sets every day. Okay. Second thing, Gautam in the beginning talked about you read a certain set of things. Now, a significant amount of reading that you do will not have questions at the end of the article or the passage or whatever we have read. In those places, you read a newspaper editorial. After you read the editorial, the next job should be, क्या मैं इसकी 3 लाइन की summary लिख सकता हूँ to understand if I have really understood the passage or not. So your job, whenever you do a reading, if it does not have question at the end of the passage, please write down a 3-line, 4-line summary and see if you have understood the passage or not. Because when you are reading the RC passage, your job is to have an overall big picture understanding of the passage, and that is what you should be practicing for. DILR, as I said, daily dose has to be done. Daily dose for English should also be done. But if you think the daily dose timing given to you is higher than what you need, reduce it. Bring it down to 10 minutes, 12 minutes if you want to. But fix up time and based on your capability and try doing it in that much time. Secondly, in addition to this, what I said earlier, I'll just repeat. Quant, DILR, daily dose, and whatever else you do on a regular basis, please make sure you also keep marking questions and data sets for revision, bookmark them, and revise them at least once in 2 weeks.
Absolutely. Okay, so with that, let's move on. So generally, I will just say this, and while I say this, I will quickly mention for everyone's benefit that Open CDC, right? The test series of CL, which we call CDC, the Open CDC for everybody is around the corner. Next weekend is when it starts. So all of you who want to check yourself, benchmark yourself against people across the country, please make sure that you register for it. Okay, so preparation minus mock is 0, and mock without analysis is also 0. These 2 things you have to remember as thumb rules, right? Every preparation, if you keep solving, and you're not taking mocks, you are not going to benefit. And if you're writing a mock and you're not analyzing it enough, you're not solving it again, then also it is 0. Okay, so having said this, let's move on. Now let's talk subject by subject, and GP already touched this, that reading kahan se karna hai, kya karna hai. So let's talk about this. Verbal ability and reading comprehension. Someone was asking in the chat, how do I improve this? The only way to improve this is, first of all, develop a reading habit. I like reading, I don't like reading, I like reading history, geography, and not science, does not matter. At this point, you have to start a process where you become numb. right? मुझे कुछ भी दे दो, give me anything, I can read it, I can understand it. That is where you need to reach, for which you need extensive reading right now. Which means, what do you read? You read articles, you read editorials. I think GP has mentioned it, so I'll not repeat it. Newspaper editorials are a beautiful thing to start with. What are the sources to do this? The first source is New York Times, right? Economic Times, the Hindu, and Eon essays. Now, apart from these, there is one more source. Career Launcher का जो student portal है, those of you who have been there is a reading zone there. So there's a reading zone, quite similar to what Eon essay offers to you. So there's a reading zone there. It has a past years various passages from there also, some new passages also. So a lot of reading material there. All these 5 sources you can start reading. What I would suggest is, from today, if you can fix 30 minutes and read 30 minutes on a daily basis to start with, and make it 40 come June. That is what you need to do, and you are good to go. Right? So develop a reading habit. Once you develop a reading habit, the second step is reading comprehension. So reading comprehension meaning you start understanding it. Like GP said, start writing summaries. If you're not answering questions, you write summary. See if you are able to understand whatever you can understand. Compare it with a ChatGPT summary. Also, why not? Right? See what you understood, how much was it of it was right or not. Right? Then the third step is to expand your topic base. So first you develop a reading habit with a favorite topic, maybe favorite source, right? Start comprehending it, and then go to other topics, because you have no control over what topic is going to come for your reading comprehension. There are 4 topics that you need to solve in CAT, right? So you don't know which one is going to come out. So for that, you will have to have a habit of reading, right? Someone says, I don't understand philosophy. Okay, you will have to start understanding it. You'll have to practice and get there. That's the only way, right? So here is a quick roadmap, right? So if you're starting afresh, if you're new to the preparation or new to VARC, maybe you've been doing quant all along, and VARC you're just starting off, practice 5 to 6 bahut zyada hai for now. Start with 2 to 3 RCs every day. This is equivalent to a 30-minute reading also. So 2 to 3 RCs every day, increase it to 4 when you become comfortable, and 5 when you become more comfortable. This is how you should go about it. Sectional tests you should start taking, right? At least 1 a week. Yeah, 2 per week likha, 1 to shuru kar. 1 for each subject you can start with. Mocks you should go with the schedule, right? If you've already started, if you're a repeater or you've already started 6 months back and you are doing a good prep, then start working on your reading speed while you are at it. So reading karna hai, but like GP said, ki question ka time kam karo. If I can read a particular thing in 15 minutes, how do I read it in 10 minutes is the question, right? So that is what you need to work. Start practicing 3, 4, 5 RCs every day, right? For a fresh start guy, I would suggest 2, 3. And for a person who's already doing it, 3, 4 RCs every day. Sectional tests and mocks as per schedule. Please do not, my opinion is, do not pick and choose when you want to do mock. There's a schedule which is made with a logic. Follow the schedule, right? Okay, now we come to DILR and logical reasoning, GP. So here is what the topics are. I think this was already covered by Gautam Baba earlier. Yeah. So what are the topics covered? But this is what you are supposed to do. Complete the theory. So theory in the sense, you go for different topics, not in sequence like GP said. Yeah, GP, you were saying something. Sorry.
No, all I was saying, theory out here would mean doing a couple of sets of each type to get the hang of what they are, how to tabulate data, and how to what do they broadly bring to the table. That's what theory is. Which is why I said quant has lots of syllabus. This has got much lesser structured syllabus. English, there's more structured syllabus.
Correct. So then once you do that, a couple of sets of each topic or each type, then you start practicing. Right? Practice more and more. Write more PYQs. Write daily dose. Write mock tests. Write sectional tests. You keep doing that. Right. The goal is to. So okay, I want to say something very important here. Today, if I'm not able, if I take 4 sets today, any 4 set, and I'm not able to solve all 4 of them or any of the 4, it is still all right. Please understand the practice, the idea of practicing on a daily basis is sharpening my critical thinking ability, right? Where I will be able to do similar kind of question maybe 2 months down. So if I do 2 to 3 questions sets every day, a month down I'll be able to do 2 sets in a go, right? So that is the idea. So basically the idea is to keep sharpening yourself, not solving them. So you try to solve, spend some 15, 20, 30 minutes on a set, go back, right? Look at the solution, try again. Right? That is the way to go about it. So will sharpen your the critical thinking ability and analytical reasoning ability, right? Okay, quant. So GP, would you like to take this up? You already covered, but yeah, still.
Yeah, yes. I'll just repeat what I said a while ago. That you look at each of the concepts. Now, the good thing is that whatever we are talking about, arithmetic, algebra, number system, geometry, mod maths, etc., almost everything you have studied in class 10th. Permutation, combination, a bit of it you would have studied in 11th. But rest of the stuff, virtually everything is class 10th level. So all you need to do is start with arithmetic, get the basics in place, which means what are the basic formulas for different domains. Simple interest क्या होता है, compound interest क्या है, what are the profit, what is profit percentage, and so on and so forth. Similarly for algebra, so what you will probably need to do is do about 10 to 15, or let's say at best 30 odd questions from each of those subtopics of arithmetic algebra, which will mean something like let's say about 300 odd questions, and that should be good enough for you for theory. And then you go straight into questions. Your learning has to happen through the questions. Those questions can be from daily dose. Those questions can be from the exercises which we give you in the classes. Those questions can be from the chapter of the end of the chapter exercise which are there. And again, as I said earlier, please keep highlighting the questions which you need to revise on a regular basis.
All right. So coming to the last part of almost the last part of the agenda. So there are some do's and there are some don'ts. So let's quickly go through each of them. Please start touching each subject on a daily basis. If not each subject, at least 2 out of 3 subjects. When I say subjects, I mean VARC, DILR, and quant. Try to touch 2 subjects on a daily basis. In 2 days, you should be able to cover all 3 subjects. So one of the good ways of doing this is having a structured weekly plan. कि मैं 2 घंटे ये करूंगा, 3 hours I'll do this. I'll do 3 sets of or 2 sets of DILR. I'll do 2 RCs every day or 3 RCs every day. I'll do daily dose every day. That will take care of your daily touch of the subjects. Second, vocab, mental calculation, approximation, and reading practice. Vocab is not asked in CAT directly, but if you have some hold on vocab, even through reading, that's okay. If you have some hold on vocab, it makes your life comfortable in RC and rest of the verbal ability questions, right? Again, similarly, mental calculation is not required because a calculator is given to you. But if you don't have to use a calculator where you don't have to use it, and you can approximate or you can use basic calculations or approximations there, that does your job. Okay, so these are the musts to do. And analyze all 3 slots. So the idea is to solve CAT PYQs, previous year question paper, starting with 2024 paper. Solve all 3 sets, analyze those 3 slots also, not immediately, over time, maybe over a month, next month. So you should take care of the previous 2 years papers, 23 and 24. So that's 6 papers for you. And then you can go way back in 22 and 21 and so on and so forth. What you should not do is you should not run around for materials or tests, right? What you have is what you should solve, right? Second is don't let the hangover of the previous year affect the upcoming. So don't judge yourself on the basis of the current mock and don't let it affect your next mock. That should not happen. So if you have got a less score or less percentile, it is okay. At this juncture, does not matter. For the next 4 months, it does not matter. Okay, we have to go all the way till November. We have to reach there. Okay, that's the idea. And with that, we will come to almost the end of the session now. Quickly, these are the resources you already have. So make use of the resources you have, whether it is lectures or recorded lectures or a lot of other things. So look at the testing part. I want to draw your attention here, right? Look at the daily dose. So you have 2 tests coming up daily. From September onwards, it will be 3 tests a day, right? You have topic-wise tests, you have sectional tests, you have mocks, you have a lot of things, right? So please utilize this. With that, of course, what your goal should be. So it's very important to peg a goal. Have a college that you feel that this is where I want to get. If FMS it is, or if it is IIM Ahmedabad, or if it is SP Gen, or if it is XLRI, it doesn't matter. The point is you should have a goal, right? How do you have a goal? So once you have a goal, how do you go about it? Is you see what percentile is required to get into that college. So you can check out the Profilizer. This will help you a lot as a tool, right? So you can go and check where what kind of percentile you will need to get into what kind of a college with your kind of a profile. So how strong a match or weak a match is it? So you can check this out. Yes, GP, I think you are on mute. GP, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, I was saying you could talk about OpenCat, and the next slide was OpenCat, so you could please continue with that.
Yes. So OpenCat is another beautiful program. Those of you who are not enrolled with CL, enrolled elsewhere, studying by yourself, whatever it is, this is a beautiful program which has been curated free of cost for all the students. There is no attachment here. All you have to do is go and use the resources there. It is actually a free of cost material. So do go out and check. If you can take a screenshot of this or scan this, it would really help you. No strings attached. So this is just all the material that we had. We've put it there and you can use it. Right. So that's about it. Just another reminder, our test series is on. Already 3 or 4 mocks have happened. The next one is Open CDC, which will peg you against all the CAT takers across the country. So make sure that you don't miss this opportunity. You can join the test series if you want. And then, other courses like DILR 1000 has just been launched. So those of you who have a problem with DILR can take up these modular courses, VARC 1000, DILR 1000. DILR 1000 is the one which is curated by Gautam Baba himself. So it's a wonderful course. Another one, QA 1000, is on the way. I think it will be launched in the next 10-15 days. So yes, that's VARC, which is curated by Jijo. And with that, I think we've come to the end of the session. And GP, we can take 1 or 2 questions and call it a day.
Yes, sure.
Okay, I'll take the first one. Diksharth hi hai. Is MBA Profilizer accurate, sir? Diksharth, it is based on last year's data, absolute last year's data. Okay, so it is as accurate as it can get. Of course, things might change this year by a bit. So we've seen a 0.5%, 1% variation here and there over the years, but that's about it. So more or less, it is accurate, is what you can take it. Yeah, GP.
Yeah, I would say it's fairly accurate because as long as the criteria doesn't change. This year, if IIMs change the criteria a little bit, that change can happen. But it does not go off significantly. It is by and large will give you a reasonably good idea as to your chances of getting an interview call from various institutes.
Right. Sanat's question is, when should I take the PYQs? Down the line along with the mocks? You can start. Yeah.
Start now. And then especially for the topic that you have done, start doing the PYQs of those topics.
Jasjeet's question is an important. I'm not good at group discussion, so while we are not talking about it, Jasjeet, it is very important that you're thinking about this. Interview process, group discussions, VAT is something that will come and will come suddenly in December once CAT is over, right? So you shouldn't be worried about it. No, absolutely, I would suggest you don't be worried about it. But yes, if you could gather a couple of friends and start practicing, that would help. You start building your content base to be able to talk in the group discussions or write the VATs. It would help. So please start practicing, no doubt, and you will be better by December. Okay, I think a lot of questions we've taken and we've run 20 minutes beyond the planned time. So GP, I think we should end the session here and let's wish the students all the best. We are
Yeah,
around the
so
corner for you.
next Thursday we'll be back with another Jugaad DILR session. I hope the students are attending. They have seen the earlier ones and will be ready for the next one next Thursday. So goodbye and meet you again next Thursday.
Yep. Have a great day, guys. Bye bye.